So Biff, I got tired of the kids finding where I was hiding the Christmas presents. And I was telling a friend of mine. And so my friend says, why don't you just, store them in a dark room down in the basement? And I did. But now I have to listen to them screaming to let them out. I have to listen to them scream. See, I put the kids in the basement, not the presents.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
You'll like this one. Biff,
I will really. Okay. Yeah.
Why is a day at the office just like Christmas?
Why is the day at the office just like Christmas, Jacques?
You do all the work, but some guy in a fancy suit gets all the credit.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Joe went through this for 2 years. We should ask Joe how he dealt with all these stupid jokes week in and week out. You think you can go ask him, Jacques?
Okay, give me a sec. Hey, Joe, how did you put up with all these stupid jokes for nearly 3.5? Yeah, there was a 3.5 year run.
I've taken up heroin.
That's why you're so skinny and sexy. Heroin chic, as the kids call it. Heroin chic.
Thank you.
Hello,
Hi,
everybody. Well, we'll get to the introductions. I'm Joe.
I'm Biff.
And I'm regretting joining this podcast again.
Joe did that a couple years ago to me at the start. He's like,
yeah,
and I'm shocked. And literally a deer in the headlights. It was the simplest, but I was so thrown. So I don't know if we got a sideshow ready to go or what we'll do, but maybe we'll think about year-end stuff and year-end list and goals for 2022. But as far as this one, let's kick it off right. Per Joe, I was going to watch it anyways, but Joe called me last week and like, I don't give a fuck what you're doing. You stop and you go watch the Beatles Get Back right now. And I think I spent the better half of the next 2 days not doing anything except watching them, laughing, crying, and texting all my friends saying, I don't care what you're doing, but you stop what the fuck you're doing right now and watch the Beatles.
Yeah, and I really need to watch it also because so I grew up, Beatles was my first kind of my entry into rock music. And so, I adore the Beatles, but it's just been such a horrid week. Today is the last day in which I had to be awake at 4 a.m. to start my day to, get stuff going. So finally, I think I'm on that, holiday run cruise. Tomorrow, maybe not, but starting this weekend, I do plan on catching up. And I know there's a lot of footage. I've seen like Help and I've seen Let It Be. I never saw Hard Day's Night. So, I think there's footage from just all over the place, right? And I know I have seen a lot of Let It Be footage, and I don't know if it's the same ones, but so I'm kind of excited to see that whole thing.
If you saw A Hard Day's Night, you will get the reference. He's very clean. It's
maybe I
kind
should
of
watch Hard Day's Night first thing, because I never watched. I saw Help, but never Hard Day's Night. So
Joe, did you finish this journey?
I absolutely did. Yeah. It was. Yeah. I mean, it's fantastic. You can't. You don't want to leave them. That's the thing, is that you know that it's an 8-hour journey through 3 episodes, but it's like when it's over, it's like, oh wait, that's it. That's right. Oh, all right, they break up. That's right.
we will do, after you get to watch it, Biff. We got to do a sideshow. We just, and but it's funny because Joe and I talked about it. I watched almost episode 1 by myself. Management came home. And she was watching the end with me. She's not a big Beatle fan, but she knows her shit when it comes to it, or the major bullet points. And then she came home the next day when I was halfway through episode 2, and much to my surprise, she watched the rest of episode 2 with me. And then she's like, and it was a work day, and like, oh, maybe we'll watch episode. No, we're gonna watch episode 3 now, motherfucker. And we did. and I don't know. I don't know why I found it a surprise, other than the fact you guys both know how hard I work not to know shit.
You love to not know.
I love to not know. If I'm going to see a movie, how hard I'll work to not see spoilers. I didn't realize they were going to show the entire rooftop concert. And
right.
and the so yeah, so I fancied myself a Beatle expert. I did at one point in my life. Friends would quiz me. It's like I couldn't name like the track listings in chronological order on each album, and I could tell you stories about Pete Best and their time in Germany and all this stuff. And I've seen every tape, every footage, every special. Every city has a Breakfast with the Beatles Sunday morning show on a radio station. Here, there's always somebody who is 2 degrees of separation of knowing the Beatles or knowing Billy Preston, and I'll listen to all their stories. I essentially 50 some years on this plane, thought I was a Beatle fan, thought I was knowledgeable. I knew shit about the Beatles until I watched this. Like what I didn't know, would fill Dodger stadiums 8 times over. And I, 2 of the big takeaways, I said to Joe the other day, like I get to the gym, I'm about to go in, and I was talking to Joe on the drive there. I sat in the car for about a half hour and just talking. Yeah. And then finally I said to Joe, I'm like, you know what? If it was 16 hours, I would still want more, to which Joe told me
there, I think, is going to be a Peter Jackson director's cut where
I'm sure. Yeah.
Because at the beginning, it says on text that the original, filming accumulated 80 hours of video and film and then audio, or it was 80 hours of audio and 40 hours of film or something like that. And it's just fascinating that there is, when Peter Jackson first finished this special, it was 12 hours long or something. And it's even for what was it on Disney Plus? Even Disney's we got to pare it down and make it a little bit more palatable. So, 3 days worth of material over 8 hours. I think that's the attention span of most, hardcore Beatles fans. I don't know.
But maybe it's the people that I follow. Maybe it's the people I talk to. But nobody I know said, yeah, it's too long. Yeah, it was okay, but they kind of lost me at this part. I know what Joe's answer is going to be, and it's kind of a spoiler, but we're going to throw it out there. If you had one wow takeaway, what would it be, Joe?
Oh, gee, let's see. I think my wow takeaway was, I guess, would be Paul McCartney predicting that 50 years from now, people are going to be saying, oh, when the Beatles broke up, it was all because of that Yoko, because Yoko Ono sat in on all of the recordings. Not that she was disturbing anything. She was just there. And if anything, she probably was the reason that John went to record more music with the Beatles. They were this, perfect codependent couple where they kind of fed off each other's energy. And but it's funny just to hear Paul just sort of on film say, because they're reading in the papers that, Yoko's insinuating herself or John's devoting more time to Yoko and less time to the Beatles. And Paul's like, well, that's, kind of dismissing it and saying, wouldn't it be great 50 years from now? Or I can imagine 50 years from now, people blaming Yoko for the breakup of the Beatles, which they hadn't broken up yet. Although George was making a good go at it at one point.
But yeah, and like Joe and I talked, if Ringo had said that, it would have some impact. It would diminish some of those rumors. If George Harrison said it, it would have some more impact than Ringo saying it. But the fact that it was Sir Paul McCartney, who's like, how ridiculous is it going to be that somebody, and it's true. Most of them had their wives there, but they were in the control room. Like Paul McCartney had his daughter there one day who's hitting all the drums and sitting and playing with all the instruments. And it was kind of a sweet moment. But at the same time, a little annoying. Can we get any shit done? But yes, Yoko sat there quiet as a field mouse and just, John wanted her. And it wasn't like the other ones didn't have it. It's so shined a light on. And one of the really fun things is while they were tuning up or while they were waiting for this member or that member to get there, they would take turns reading the tabloids about themselves.
Yeah. So as far as Yoko goes, right, I think there are several things that made Yoko a target. Number one is that, she's an Asian woman that didn't behave like an Asian woman, right? And not, obviously not in the footage with the Beatles as much as, the way she was out there as this kind of in your face, liberal protester type, right? So I think that certainly didn't help the narrative, that she wasn't this classic subservient,
a geisha girl kind of
right
thing.
right yeah. So there's that aspect of it, but I think the other problem was that, I don't know if have either one of you watched Let It Be?
Oh yeah,
right.
Back and forth,
I mean,
that's
it's a brutal watch, right? I mean, it's not well edited, and it's really, really hard to watch, and there's just so much bickering. But if you watched Let It Be, it's like, yeah, these guys were at each other's throats all the time.
Well, what's funny, Biff, is when you watch this, yeah, they were, but they weren't. I mean, this takes place over about 20 days, Joe, about 21, 22 days.
Yeah, pretty much like most of January of 1969.
And what's so funny is they keep counting down and they have a hard out, and they kept reminding you why, but you kept forgetting why. It's like, wait a minute, why do they have a hard out? It's because Ringo had a movie to go shoot.
Yeah. The Magical Christian. Was that what it was called, with Peter Sellers?
Was
the Magic Christian.
Or it wasn't Caveman. That was his first thing.
No, it was the Magic Christian with Peter Sellers.
Oh, which is why Peter Sellers stopped by to say hi.
Spoilers.
But anyway.
Now you're gonna say, don't tell him that Billy Preston stopped by too, because that's a major spoiler.
Look, we're not. I'm already doing the sideshow. No, after Biff watches it, but yeah, I mean, with the original Get Back, documentary, yeah, they got the most sensational stuff out there, and it really turns out that they liked each other. But we'll have a whole sideshow. But yeah, but the takeaway that, the one of the two big takeaways for me was the fact that, Paul said what Joe just went, and then there was a private conversation that the film crew hit a microphone at a lunch table, that John and Paul had this great conversation after George Harrison basically quit and left, and essentially the conversation is like, okay, we both are dicks to him on a regular basis, but right now you're being the more bigger dick to him, so you have to go say you're sorry. I'm going to go with you. But they were both like, essentially, it's like, yeah, we're both dicks. So let's go. What does this say? From Joe, everybody.
Oh man, I'm trying to be discreet with the chat.
It's okay. All right. So, other movies, I saw The Eternals. I've been waiting a year plus to see The Eternals. I like the Marvel movies. I don't, in our years doing the podcast, Joe, and my years with you, Biff, it might have come up. I'm a fan of the superhero genre.
I'm shocked to hear that. Wow.
So
you like boobies too?
Big ones. You know what I like most about big boobs?
Everything.
Big boobs. And anyways, but getting back to boobs. No, but with the Eternals, much like I went into Guardians of the Galaxy knowing of them, but they're a D-list property. I knew almost nothing about the Eternals, and it was a fun ride, and it's fun how they've woven them through history. And it's one of those things where it's like, it turns out that Thor was part of Nordic legend and he was a real person and all. So it was kind of fun, but there were so many characters. If you quizzed me when I came out on who was who,
when you came out on who was who, when you say quiz me on I thought you were talking about something else. So.
No, I'm still deep in that closet.
I was about to congratulate you.
Well, thank you. But no, it was fun. It was good, but I'll have to see it 6 more times before I could pass any rudimentary. Okay, which one was this and which one was based on this? But it was definitely fun. What else was fun this week? Fun and awful. I was, born in Boston, but the first 5 years of my life, we lived right by Niagara Falls. Slowly I turned. But every time somebody came to visit, we went there. I've probably been to Niagara Falls. Joe and I went to Niagara Falls in 96. 97. And I know of all the stories, but this last week was the first time in my life we witnessed in real time a Niagara Falls, somebody going over the falls story. And I don't know if you guys follow that. Do you hear about that this week?
I did not.
No.
Somehow a car wound up in the river, and it was a breaking news story as the car was making its way to the falls. They could see somebody in there. The helicopters came in. There was a woman inside the car who was unconscious. That, dramatic helicopter lowering a guy down and taking 20 minutes to get the woman out. Sadly, she did not survive. Like, she passed away. I don't think she was DOA, but I think later that day when they got her to the hospital, she didn't survive. But then like 2 days later, the car went over the cliff. Like, there was no way, and it's still submerged. It's like every few years they cut off like the water, like to repair X, Y, and Z. But as of right now, there's a car, that went over the American side of the falls, and there's an investigation of how it wound up. and
she might have had a health crisis, right? As she was driving and,
right,
somehow got her way into the thing. Hopefully it's not a suicide kind of a thing. Well, either way, it's sad that she's dead, but still. Yeah.
But what a way to go. So Biff had reached out today and said, hey, we can do the typical holiday stuff. Do you guys want to dive into the holiday stuff, our favorite movies, songs, and foods, or do you want to do the rest of the stuff and circle back to the holiday stuff? What do you think? What do you think, Joe?
Oh, me? I'm just listening. We could. Why don't we end on a high note?
Yeah.
Let's go through the awful, because I'm guessing that there's awful in the rundown.
There's not
in this great country.
There's not too much. I mean,
everybody's healthy and everything is all right. Come on, how bad could it be?
I told you that I think I texted you guys that our town's number one. That my city of Lowell is number one in Massachusetts.
Congratulations.
With COVID.
Oh
yeah.
You got me again.
Like literally, I think Lowell is probably 1/15 the size of Boston, I'm not talking per capita.
Yeah.
I'm talking actual COVID cases in the school. More COVID cases in the school systems in Lowell than the great city of Boston.
Well, you got to keep up with the Chinese. I mean,
we really do. We really do. No, but it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how, our little city, and to the point where the schools just made two announcements came out this week. One is, okay, we had a bus driver shortage at the beginning of the year and we called in the National Guard. Our bus driving situation has gotten worse because a lot of the cases that have been popping up are the bus drivers, which is, that's fantastic. So we're going to be combining routes. The buses are going to be dropping your kids off late. The bus is going to be picking your kids up late. So, hey, buckle up, everybody, except for the people on the buses, because there's no seatbelts on buses.
Oh, and by the way, two of the buses are armed with a bomb if they go over 50 miles an hour.
So that's a lot of fun, and the other notice that went out this week is, hey, everybody, the city of Lowell is going to have vaccination clinics at every school, and here's when they're going to be at your kid's school. And by the way, if you want to come in and get, does
that include boosters though? I mean, because if it includes boosters, I get it, right? Or if it's also, I will say in all fairness, like if there are parents that have a hard time taking time out of their work to take their kids to get their shots, I get it, right? That's great. But so with that premise, go ahead and continue.
Yeah, no. So it is. It's just, on the way, our kids' school is like 2.1 miles from here. 1.1 mile from here is a vaccination center. That's where, my little guy got his shots.
Yeah.
That's where I got my booster a couple weeks ago. And I'll be honest, every time I drive by and that parking lot is packed, it does my heart good to see that packed. But the number of people not vaccinated, teachers, or just, I can't imagine it's that many breakthrough cases. It's funny because my sons have a friend the mom and dad bring their kids to the same roller skating place I bring my kid most Wednesdays, and they weren't there for a couple of weeks. And it turns out the dad, he's a little older than me, but or maybe he's younger than me, but it's been a longer road.
He's
than
Sparky Anderson.
Yes, he's Sparky Anderson. and it's like he found out, like, Tristan, my little guy mentioned I'm a drummer, and he's like, oh, I'm looking for a drummer for a band. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm not your guy. I'm just, and he's nice enough guy, but you kind of get this vibe. Well, it turned out we didn't see him because he got COVID and the kids were out of school for 2 weeks. I go to pick up my little guy from drama the other day. I'm sitting in my car. He comes walking by without a mask on. His daughter has a mask on. And he comes to say hi. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? And I kind of put my hand up to nicely stop him. But I'm like, hey, I hope you're feeling better, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, motherfucker, it's like,
yeah.
What are we doing? Where's your goddamn mask? It's like, yes, there are breaks.
Where's your dress, Mary?
So I was like, oh, and this is why. But then again, and I have no problem putting it on the podcast. I'll tell you guys, I haven't talked to my brother in a little while. He had knee surgery last week, which I didn't even know he was in the hospital for a few days for replacement. I call him, I check in, and he's like, I'm like, what's going on? He goes, yeah, we're a little worried now because one of his kids, he goes, yeah, it looks like he has COVID again. Let me repeat that for people at home.
Yeah.
He has COVID again. And I'm like, oh man. He goes, yeah. And he's really mad because his wife was coming home with a test because he's been home for a few days and they're worried he has it again. And he couldn't go to his hockey game last night. I'm like, well, if you think he has COVID, it's probably good you didn't go. He goes, oh no, like he would just have, he was just throwing up. So he wasn't, he couldn't go anyways, but we would have gone. And I was right. I'm like, I can't argue with him. There's nothing to say except those are the motherfuckers that are keeping this bad situation, going worse. But that's our COVID update. How's things in California, Biff?
It is what it is. So I think they're reinstating some of the other protective measures again. So it's going to be a little bit more stringent about, I think they're bringing back the mask mandates. So for a while, they had this basic rule that if you are vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. And I think we're going back to everybody wear a mask kind of a thing, right? So that kind of, I think that went into effect maybe the previous Wednesday. But all in all, I think Southern California or Los Angeles is a little bit more mellow than, say, OC, where there's a lot more resistance to a lot of these COVID measures. So, it is what it is. And I guess the mask thing is the thing that just kind of completely fascinates me about this country. And only because of the, my basic standpoint, where being Japanese, like in Japan, this is regardless of COVID, when people were sick, they wore masks. I mean, if you look at like just random Japanese videos, you'll every once in a while catch people with those, those cloth cotton masks. And when they have that on, it usually means, oh yeah, they have to work, but they're sick. And so that's why they wear the mask. So that's kind of an ingrained thing, to the Japanese. So like, I never had a resistance to the mask, period, right? It's like, oh, I don't want to be the a-hole not wearing a mask when I'm, not well. So now that we have this pandemic, yeah, I'm okay with it, right? So there's something that's different about this country, I guess. But
when the wife and I lived at Disney and Universal, and we would see Asian people with the mask, we would always kind of half jokingly say, it's like, are they wearing that mask for their protection or ours? Like, are do they not want to get our germs, or are we, are they spreading, and it's like one of those cultural things. And of course,
we also wear it when it's allergy season, by the way.
Super smart. It's like, I will always the rest of my life have a mask in. And if I have a cough or anything like that, yes, I don't feel like civil liberties are totally being trounced because I'm going to go into Ralph's for 10 minutes and wear a mask. It's like, it is what it is, but it's ridiculous. And how about the great city of Slummerville? How are things in Slummerville with COVID?
Wow. I don't know, because I don't live there no more.
Yeah, but you know what? It's always in your heart. It's always so speaking of slums and rundown hellholes, what's going on in your crime-ridden Japan these days, Biff?
Well, I thought that I had nothing, but it turns out that people are doing some these. I always I kind of prided myself to some degree in terms of how the Japanese are like so law abiding and just generally kind of compliant when it comes to essentially, doing the right thing. But I found out that there are areas in Japan where there are people who are just doing these renegade things. And when I say renegade things, I'm talking about building illegal bridges. So I want to stop there. And I want you to think about illegal bridges and why there would be illegal bridges.
I'm thinking about those bridges to nowhere. Remember that bill?
That's in LA. That's in LA. Yep. There's one in LA at least anyway. So the reason why they have these renegade bridges is because Japan has a lot of these little kind of canals for a combination of flood control and whatever else. And so people were building these essentially bridges so that they don't have to walk to the real official bridges that might be like 300 yards away, so they could take a shortcut across those canals so that maybe they could get to their neighbor's house more quickly or get to a bus stop more quickly or whatever. So this has, I guess, brewed a controversy that has forced the cities to tear down these renegade bridges and replace them with the proper bridges of their own.
Which is funny because that was a long video that you sent.
It's a long video because they went to a bunch of different places.
And I'll say again, a little disappointed that they showed me actual bridges and versus the CGI and the reenactment.
Yeah, I know.
Like that.
It's been I want to say it's been like a slow few months in the news in Japan, but then you know what? It always is.
So like these are troubled bridges over water.
Kind of like that. Yeah, that's what it is. Nice.
The engineering to these makeshift bridges, I gotta say, look pretty okay. Look pretty sound.
Let me put it to you this way. The shit that makes the Japanese national news are often like crazy stuff that they see in other countries. Because there's just not enough going on in Japan.
That sounds like a reality show challenge. It's like, okay, today, guys, you're going to build a bridge and you only have 30 hours and 3 sticks and go.
3 sticks.
So it was fun. Joe, moving on to video games. You got anything for us?
Oh, no, not really. Although kind of, I don't know if this is more of are we doing a what are we watching thing later?
Yeah.
We'll do that later.
But right now it's random video game reviews.
Random video games. No, you know what? I haven't really been playing a whole lot of games. I'm sad to say, but what I'm watching is game related. So I guess I'll hold off.
Let's hear it. Yeah, I'll take it. What do we? Okay. Oh, so we'll hold off. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're going to circle all the way back to COVID. I'm sorry. We're going to circle back to sports.
Yeah.
Biff, why don't we talk about COVID in sports?
Holy crap. I mean, I'm only paying attention to the NHL, but my God, there's been a freaking slew of cancellations because of COVID. My favorite is the Carolina Hurricanes, where they have like 2 players and like maybe 1 staff that's left behind in Vancouver, and another like 4 players left behind in Minnesota, and they had to cancel games. But now I think so, and there's a few teams that had to postpone a few games. So now they're gonna reinstate some of the old COVID protocols that has to do with more these the masks and the whatever, you can't go out and all that stuff. I think the big news from all of this is that the big thing about this year and the NHL season is that the NHL accommodated for the Olympic break with the idea that the players want to go to the Olympics. And that's a concession that the NHL, the league, made to the players as part of their collective bargaining agreement, because the players want to go to the Olympics. The NHL doesn't want the players to go to the Olympics. But now we're at a point where people are asking, do the players really want to go to the Olympics? Because we've had players pull out, because if they get COVID in China, and the Winter Olympics isn't going to be in Beijing. If they get COVID in Beijing, they're going to be stuck there for 3 weeks quarantining. So we'll see how that goes.
I don't know for a fact. I haven't followed it too much. Has COVID made its way to China yet?
I don't know. I mean, I think that, and it's one of those things where news out of China is kind of tough to come by. Like it's a very secretive country and stuff like that. So maybe if I do enough internet digging, and I actually know a friend who works in Hong Kong, so maybe I'll ask him to see if they haven't had any COVID over there. So
what? So the Bruins played Calgary last Sunday.
Right.
And Monday, it turned out, I want to say 7 or 8, at least 6, 7, possibly 8 players on Calgary all popped for COVID. Now, right. Here's the fucked up thing about the NHL for the 2 listeners who might not know the NHL that well. As far as I know, Biff, correct me, there's only one player in the NHL who's not fully vaccinated. Am I correct in saying that?
Aaron Rodgers plays hockey.
Right. I think there's actually a second one. I know one of them is Tyler Bertuzzi. There was like 3, and I can't remember who the second one was. So, another one, Mackenzie Blackwood of the New Jersey Devils did get vaccinated. I think he's actually due for his second one, but I think there's a third one who's a player we don't care about. But yeah.
So for those who don't know, you can't go to Canada, even if you're in the NHL with all the strings pulling and all that stuff, unless you're fully 100% vaccinated. So it means those players have to miss anywhere, if you got a team in your division or whatever, 4 to 8 games, 10 games a season. So everybody in Canada.
But in all fairness, Tyler Bertuzzi plays on the Red Wings, and they're a crappy team. So who cares if he doesn't go to Canada? They're gonna suck anyway, and they want to suck.
So, but the whole point is Calgary, Canadian team, everybody on that team is fully vaccinated.
That is correct.
But yet 6 to 8 players in one testing cycle all popped.
Omicron, baby. Omicron.
They played the Bruins, and now 3 days later, 3 different players from the Bruins, unfortunately, 2 of their 3 best players, Marchand, and Marchand gets off a 3-game suspension. Plays 3 games. He gets off a suspension just in time to do the Canadian 3-game swing. They get 5 points out of a possible 6, come back, and then he's out with COVID. Another player out, 3rd, 4th line guy, and then Patrice Bergeron. So honestly, their top line is now out. Same thing. And the NFL, I don't know if they test Sunday night, they test Monday morning, but this past Monday, last Monday, a week ago today, from when this podcast drops, 32 players tested positive. Now that's only 1 player per team, but it wasn't 1 player per team. So when this podcast airs, we're recording it early. But
time out, production meeting.
Okay.
I'm an outsider. I don't really know much about podcasting, but
I might not know about podcasting.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm an unfrozen caveman podcaster. But what I'm thinking is that does it really matter when you publish this goddamn podcast? I mean, can you publish it tomorrow?
Like I could. Yeah, I could.
I mean, like who cares? Like it might as well be fresh. So people do you want people to listen to like week old stuff?
No, you know what? Maybe because we're going to New York on Friday I got to go to New York on Friday for work, and the wife and kids are going to meet me out later. So that's why we had to do it today. But the reason
hey, go to Joe's Pizza.
No, I wanted to preface this because it's going to be interesting what happens this coming Sunday, because I want to say that out of the 45-man roster last week on the Cleveland Browns, who are fighting for a playoff spot, 8 of the players including their starting quarterback, are all on the COVID list.
You know what? Everybody's fighting for a playoff spot except for like the Jets. And
that's true. That's true.
But, there's like 3 teams not fighting for a playoff spot in the
AFC. So the talk around the NFL now is like, holy shit, it's going through this team and this team. It's like, would you rather get it now in mid-December, or in 3 weeks from now when you're going to the playoffs? But the whole argument is Cleveland will lose, and the NFL, and the same thing, the NBA won't push games. I want to say the New Jersey Nets, they dressed like 4 regular players, and the rest were call up because they had like 8 people or 7 people on their 12-man roster pop for COVID. So they had to call up their entire D-League squad, which brings up 2 points. It's like, first of all, just fucking move the game, because if I'm a fan and I'm paying NBA prices to see D-League players, I'm going to be, if you get a call up, it happens. You get 2 people called up, it happens. But the fact that the NBA or the NFL will not push games because of this. And I forget, there's another team too whose coach had COVID over the summer or something like that, has both the shots and the booster, like got it again, and he can't go. So this is raging through the sports world.
So it does raise there has been some conversation at least on hockey Twitter, and that's the only Twitter that I really follow because I don't care about the other sports. But so the difference between hockey and NFL and NBA is the high rate of vaccination. As you mentioned, essentially, the numbers, probably no more than 2 NHL roster players are unvaccinated. Whereas in other sports, I mean, we're talking about major stars like, Aaron Rodgers is just one. I mean, I think that maybe half the quarterbacks are unvaccinated in the NFL, right? So whatever the number is. So one of the discussions in the NHL side is that, you know what? We got vaccinated with the idea that this is going to help us from being really, really sick. And so far, that's actually kind of, how it's played out, right? Players test positive, but they're not really getting sick. So one of the things that they're talking about is that, you know what? Just let them freaking play. If they're not showing symptoms, if they test positive, who the hell cares? They're going to be fine, right? So that is one of the narratives that's going around, at least in the NHL, just because the vaccination rate is so high. Having said that, the vaccination tracking is really just for the players and not for the other people around them, right? So that's where the problem is. I mean, the coaches, I don't know what the vaccination rate is for the coaches, the trainers, the equipment, all the other peripheral people. Those are the people who are going to be threatened by essentially the infection rate. So we'll see. But that's one of the things that are being kind of thrown out there, where the players are saying, hey, we complied with this vaccination stuff because we didn't want to interrupt the season. We already got hit hard with it. We complied, just let us play, is kind of the sentiment that's kind of being thrown out. So we'll see.
That was the talk here. It's like, what's the point of delaying all this? Anyways, so basically COVID's still here. It's going to be here. It sucks. Okay. Now, what are you watching, Joe?
Well, to tie it back to video games, you know how I like to watch old TV, right? Just classic television, classic Japanese television. And I say that because I stumbled upon a Japanese show that has been running, I guess, since 2003, and it's called Game Center CX. It's about a guy named Arino who puts on a jumpsuit like he's going to work, goes into like this, corner of a conference room or an office with like nothing on, no frills. He sits down, and every episode he's challenged to complete an old school classic like Famicom game, which is the Nintendo, or Super Famicom, which is the Super Nintendo, like some classic retro game. And then he'll play from like 10 in the morning to like midnight. Sometimes it takes 2 days, whatever, but it's great. It's like, he's like an average guy. Like I guess he's a comedian over there. And he's like not like a rage, player. Like he's not a gamer. He's just a guy who's, he has like this team around him of like younger guys who are probably better at games that help him out when he's in a real jam. Like if it's been like literally like 3 hours and he's still on the same level, somebody will come in and pinch hit for him and get him through the stage. And it's just fun. And then there are like interstitials where he'll go to other game centers, which are what they call arcades in Japan. I don't know if you know this, Biff, but they show like just like little arcades or game centers around Japan, and it's like a little travelogue of just like everyday Japanese culture from from a foreigner standpoint. It's like fascinating, and it's fun, and it's light, and it's pleasant. And I'm watching this. I'm binge watching these episodes. They're like, they've been on since like 2003, and I think I'm on season 6, and I think there are 20 seasons or something like that. So yeah, sorry to bore the non-gaming audience.
No, but, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's very I watched. There was an episode where they did like their first live challenge, and it was like a revisit of an old game that he had like, within the world of the show, he had famously like gotten real close to beating but didn't. And then basically, if he either finishes the game or he doesn't, it's like they consider it a win or a fail. And so they revisit it. They get back to like the point where he failed the last time in front of like 650 people on like a big screen. And it was the most exciting thing I'd ever seen in my life, where he was like, the crowd was cheering him on. He was like down to like his like last life or whatever. And, he beats the game finally with like, all this help and all these, ups and downs. And it was just like great. It was like the most like life affirming thing I've seen in a long time.
I will say Japanese TV programming is still kind of as advanced as people try to make out Japanese, things, culture and whatever to be. There's a lot of Japanese things that are really still kind of backwards. Like, the variety show format is still a thing in Japan. I mean,
yeah,
which is crazy.
As it should be. Joe and I are big fans of those.
Right. Yeah. Paul Lynde would be killing it right now if he were still alive in Japan.
And Japanese, right? Exactly.
Right.
But is there a Japanese Paul Lynde that we don't know about?
I think that I could probably map like the various, and I have to go back to probably the 70s, 80s to really, create the cast of characters, right? Like we're talking about the Paul Lyndes and the Charles Nelson Riley,
the gay but not gay kind of gay. Yes, yeah.
Well, they don't have to be gay, right? They could also be like John Davidson, right? So
or Liberace,
or
right?
Bert Convy. Bert Convy.
Oh, Bert Convy, yeah, he's a great guy.
All those people, right? So there are equivalents to a lot of those people, probably, that I could, but. And I guess there's been like a long time fascination with these Japanese show. I remember, I want to say 30 years ago, I actually was speaking to some people at NBC trying to get some clearance for some footage that they owned, and they said, "Well, I want to try to get footage from this other show. Can you get me this?" And it turns out that the people that I was working with wasn't the network that owned that particular footage that they were looking for, but it's like 30 years ago they were already looking at a lot of that stuff. And I think there's been some of those goofy Japanese shows. I think there's that, I don't know, I can't remember what it stands for, but it's like XMC, where people go through these stupid these water
it's
courses.
Wipeout. It's
Wipeout, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, they did like in the mid 2000s, you saw a lot of those game shows coming over from Japan. Like they did one. There was one called Hole in the Wall.
Hole in the Wall.
Okay,
yeah,
and a couple of others. But yeah,
I think
completely different than the Hole in the Wall show that I watch on YouPorn.
Yeah, well, Wipeout. They actually had Wipeout in my neighborhood. They had that whole thing set. Like I went fishing one day, and there was this huge slide contraption thing with all these people, and they still let me fish from the other side. But yeah,
I loved Wipeout with John Henson, the American Wipeout with John Henson and
so
John
great.
Anderson.
Great.
They rerun them on like, I think they have like a Pluto TV channel or like there's like a local over the air channel in Boston that has like Wipeout. And I don't know. I'm getting on a Wipeout tangent. We can do a Wipeout side show.
We should do a Wipeout side show.
Wait a minute, I'm not on this podcast. I don't care what side.
What are you talking about?
So Biff. What are you watching?
What am I? Well, so I will be watching the Beatles Get Back, but I mean, aside from that, I will be also watching with my child the new season of Demon Slayer, which is an anime series, which is it's one of the biggest anime things that has ever been released in Japan. And to kind of put it in context, they released a movie in 2020. So there was a TV series, they had season 1, and they released a movie that is associated with that in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic, and it broke all of Japan's box office records, which is insane. In the middle of the pandemic, they broke all of Japan's box office records. It is that huge. So I am psyched to see the second season, which essentially picks up where the movie left off. So yeah, that's what I'll be seeing probably with my son.
Were you a Cowboy Bebop fan at all?
I know about Cowboy Bebop. I have not watched the live action series, and I know there's some controversy about the fact that it wasn't renewed, but you know, it is what it is. But
right,
yeah. The funny thing, yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I guess I heard an actress, you know, they were talking about this on a podcast I was listening to where she was great. I guess the character she plays in the anime world is a over exaggerate, like zero waste.
What are you talking about? Over exaggerated? There is no over exaggeration.
Triple E breast.
Japanese. Well, I don't know what you are talking about.
Triple E
Those
breast.
Things do not
zero
occur in
waste.
Japanese pieces of work,
and
artwork. I don't know what you're talking about.
And she's, what do you call that? A regular woman, you know. And she's like, yeah. Sorry, I didn't live up to your expectations.
Yeah.
That woman doesn't exist in the real world, you dumb fucks. For me, I'm of course knee deep into Hawkeye, and it's another MC.
You mean poor Batman?
You know, poor Batman. No, more like poor man's Green Arrow. But it's great, and there's a
Green Arrow. My God, I guess Green Arrow has superpowers. Is that what it is?
Well, no. Green Arrow is just an archer, just like Hawkeye is.
But doesn't the ring give him some kind of a superpower, or is he
just, Green Lantern.
Are they both lame?
That's Green
Lantern.
You monster. But what's fun about this is there's a couple of YouTube shows that I really like that. If the episode's 40 minutes, it's an hour-long breakdown of here's what you might have missed. And when I watch those, I love them. They're so much fun. I will tell you. I will tell you. No, you look at it, it's like, God, this guy has.
You overrate how much we care about all this thing.
No,
they're great. What are you talking about? They're great.
These texts about saying, "Oh, this is the greatest." Is it? No.
I think it's great that this guy gets 3 million.
I know you think it's great.
No, I think it's great that this guy gets 3 million views breaking, but he does. They're really great. Now let me tell you this.
Don't fight, Mom and Dad.
The series starts off. Hawkeye, takes his kids to New York City for Christmas time, and they go to a play, Rogers the Musical, and I want to see, because my wife found the song. They have a song. I could do this all day, Captain America's big catchphrase, and it is this Hamilton-esque big budget play number, and I'm just watching that, and we're just like, oh my God. I would give anything to go see this play. It is awful, but that's what I'm watching. Besides going back and watching Beatles, Get Back again. Now.
Wait. We haven't asked Joe.
Joe, yeah,
Games Center CX.
Yeah.
So
the Japanese thing. That's right.
Why am I even here?
No.
Why am I even here?
Eye candy.
Oh my God.
Now, I meant to start off this episode by saying Merry Christmas, guys. Seriously, okay. Merry Christmas. By the time this posts, whenever it posts, we establish second post.
You're canceled.
No, it is Christmas time. It is Christmas next week. And seriously, Merry Christmas to
Merry
the two
Christmas,
of you.
everybody.
Merry Christmas. God bless us.
Merry Christmas.
Everyone. All right. Now, let's get into it. My list will be different than Biff's. Which also means my list will be right. His riff will be wrong.
Are we doing the best? Are we ranking drummers and Christmas songs this year? What are we doing?
Neil Peart did a version of First of all,
Neil Peart.
6-1. Anyways, Biff, Christmas in Japan. How big of a deal is it?
Christmas in Japan is equivalent to Valentine's Day in this country.
Okay.
It's a day where people understand what's going on. They exchange gifts. And it's not a day off.
And women get pissed off if you don't get them something. Is that what happens in Japan?
Probably. Well, the Valentine's Day is actually a complicated thing. Maybe we should talk about this another day. But let's just say, in Japan, Valentine's Day is a day when the women give to men, but not the men giving to the women.
Honey, we're going to Japan for Valentine's Day.
No. You don't want to go there. Because, see, February 14th is Valentine's Day, a day when the women give gifts to the men. and there's a variety of standards, right? So there is the standard that's called the obligatory chocolate. It's a giri choco for the, well, maybe Scott can ask his wife about what giri choco means, but what it means is that that's the obligatory chocolates that women have to give to certain men because they're all obligated to do so. Typically, things like people like who are their co-workers and seniors, their superiors in office and stuff like that. The thing about Japan is that Japan, like many Asian countries, is the gift giving practice also involves a reciprocating practice. So on March 14th, there is a thing called the White Day, and that's when the men are supposed
finally we're getting our own day. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it sucks. So so the standard is that on the White Day, the men are supposed to reciprocate at a rate that is higher than how they received it. So for the giri choco, the obligatory chocolates, the men are obligated to reciprocate at roughly twice the rate of what they receive. So if the women in their department gave you like $10 boxes of chocolate, then you're supposed to reciprocate with $20 items.
It's a profit deal.
Now, and if it's if you're actually kind of like dating and stuff like that, the exchange rate is somewhere between 5 and 10, depending on how serious you are. So if your girlfriend gave you $20 chocolates, then you're expected to give back anything from $100 to a $200 valued item in return. So that is a Japanese gift reciprocating sham.
And I can see why suicide rates are so high in Japan.
Well, that's a different issue altogether. But yes, so yeah. Well, anyway, so
as a kid, so you moved to Toronto when you were 12, 10?
No, well, so I moved to Toronto when I was 5.
Oh, that young?
No,
okay.
No, when I was 7. So I've been in New York and Toronto, but I moved to Toronto when I was 7.
Okay.
We got off on a Valentine's Day tangent.
Do you have a special Christmas in Japan memory?
The thing that I love. So, two things about Christmas in Japan. What I love about Christmas in Japan is that they go out of their ways to make these cool looking landscape, this scenery looking Christmas cakes. I love the Japanese Christmas cakes more than anything because not only are they delicious, because for some reason I don't know why, but the Japanese really, really bake well. But the other thing is that they look beautiful. So they're often like these cakes that depict scenery and stuff like that. And so they're delicious. I really hate the fact that my favorite Japanese bakery in Little Tokyo closed down in like 2016 or so, because every year I used to go out of my way to order cakes from that place, pay $60 for a tiny cake that looks beautiful, but and also delicious. But that's its own thing. So that's one element of it. And the other wacky thing about Japan, though, is you want to talk about crazy propaganda. I think starting in the 80s or so, somehow KFC convinced the country that Christmas Day is a day for KFC. So if you want to buy Kentucky Fried Chicken on Christmas Day in Japan, good luck, because if you didn't reserve your bucket of chicken for Christmas Day, you're not getting Kentucky Fried Chicken on Christmas. Christmas Day at KFC is like Christmas Day at Honey Baked, where everybody's in line to get the pre-reserved bucket of chicken that they ordered weeks in advance.
Interesting. What's funny is that in America, traditionally Coca-Cola kind of owns Christmas because of their marketing and the creation of the Santa Claus image. Guess who owns KFC? Pepsi. Ooh. Pepsi owns KFC. So they're cornering the market in Japan with Christmas. Yeah. I'm putting the system on trial.
Oh, okay. Now let's get into holiday stuff. Let's start with TV specials. And Joe and I have done deep dives into this. But Biff, what are some of the favorite Christmas specials like made for TV that you like?
I'll be honest with you. I'm not a huge fan of the Gene Kelly Christmas stuff or Gene Kelly holiday stuff in general, but I am a huge fan of the Peanuts. And obviously that Charlie Brown Christmas has so much going on where the Charlie Brown Christmas tree is a thing on its own, right? So I, as a child growing up in Toronto, where I spent a couple of years where I'm learning the language, the Charlie Brown Christmas is one of those things that it's easy to understand. So I am a huge fan of the Charlie Brown Christmas.
Which can now be seen exclusively on Apple TV or something like that, right?
It used to be a CBS thing, right?
Yeah, now I think they showed it on ABC at one point, and then now it's on Apple TV Plus. I don't know.
And that special CBS holiday, like little opening
CBS
thing
special twirl. Yeah.
Oh, so great. Joe, what are some of your favorite TV specials?
Oh, let's see. Well, of course, there's the Rankin Bass stuff. I've kind of, gotten away from that in recent years. Now that my kids are older, it's not as much fun to kind of watch those things on your own as an adult, or with your, older kids. So I don't know. I do like to go back and watch stuff from my childhood, like Garfield's Christmas, and that's a fun time. That's a great special. That was from like 87, 86. But yeah, I think, for TV specials, I would say, go-to would be, your Rudolphs, your Frosties, but don't sleep on Garfield Christmas. That's a good one.
Management and I, about a week ago, watched Prep and Landing Part 1 and then Prep and Landing Part 2. Just us. The boys weren't doing shit. And she's like, hey, let's watch. And we love them. We absolutely, Dave Foley is the voice of this elf. And, they came out, I want to say in like 2008, 2009, the first one, and then like 2011, the second one. And they're really, really fun. It's a clever take, on very old stuff. Yeah. All the Rankin Bass stuff. It's like,
although I do want to slam one. I have to do a slam. I'm sorry.
Please, you got to.
And it's a modern slam. And okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm too sensitive. I don't know what's wrong with me, but Santa Inc. on HBO Max that premiered this year. What a hunk of shit. Oh my God. Okay. What a hunk of shit. It's claymation style. It's, it's supposed to be derivative of the Rankin Bass style, but the plot is Sarah Silverman plays like the third in command to Santa's, like she's like the third elf in command to Santa's empire, and Santa's played by Seth Rogen, and all-star cast. It's all great, great actors and stuff, but it's like hard R-rated, raunchy kind of stuff.
So this is clearly two Jews ruining Christmas, is what you're saying.
Yes, you know what, you called it. I didn't want to say it.
So between the Fox TV Christmas tree being set on fire and those travesties, those two, Old
That's the one-two punch of Christmas.
So what we're saying here on Carnival Personnel, there is a war on Christmas.
Well, there's a war on my eyes and ears with Santa Inc. Because watch the first episode. Just check it out. Just watch the first episode. It's raunchy for raunchy's sake, and it kind of. I mean, it goes. Nobody. The thing let me calm down for a second. The whole point of this show is that Sarah Silverman's character sees an opening where somebody's supposed to take over Santa's position. Like the current Santa is going to retire or something like that, and there's supposed to be a new Santa that's coming in, or somebody that's going to move up in the ranks.
His actual occupation position, not another position that involves Mrs. Claus. Okay.
Right. So exactly. So so the Sarah Silverman character wants to become the first, woman Santa, which is like, fine. Okay, whatever. But I don't give a shit about any of these characters. Every character is despicable. They treat Christmas like it's like some sort of like if Elon Musk ran Christmas.
Okay. So,
or like, Elon Musk meets Jeff Bezos, like running Christmas. And it's like, God. I don't know. They create like this sort of bro atmosphere with the current operations of Santa's workshop. And I don't know. I got where they were going with it, but they were like, you know, it was like they were throwing fuck, like the word fuck was, I thought Quentin Tarantino wrote this script for Hotman because there were so many fucks in there. But yeah, maybe I'm getting older, you know, I'm a ripe old 44. So, you know, it's about time that I start.
You were born older.
How's that?
No, you unsold me. No, I will not go watch the first episode, nor will I watch the second one. I'll go back and watch Prepton Landing again.
So one other thing I forgot to mention is that I discovered David Bowie on the Bing Crosby Christmas special, and I had no idea that I had discovered David Bowie. And then like years later, I found out, hey, that's the dude that was on Bing Crosby. So
do you know quickly, the story on that is one of my favorites. David Bowie showed up for that taping dressed as David Bowie and very androgynous, but over the top. Like him and his either girlfriend or wife at the time had like Joe Namath's sideline fur coats on. You know what I mean?
Angela Boy?
I don't know who he was with at the time, but he had like these huge fur coats, tons of makeup, you know, his hair, all this stuff. And Bing Crosby's like, no, you know, you're not going on my special like that. Like, you know, they were not simpatico. And basically David Bowie being smart enough to realize it's like, yeah, I can be David Bowie over there, but if I want to be a big hit here, I'm going to have to kind of kiss the ring and, you know, take some of the makeup off and do all this.
Wait, so you don't know who Angela Bowie is?
Wasn't it his manager?
She was like, well, no. That's not the important thing about Angela Bowie. The important thing about Angela Bowie is, you know what? I don't want to go into it, but maybe later on, do a Google search on Angela Bowie and Mick Jagger.
Oh, okay. But no, that's a great story.
Yeah.
But getting back to the special, so I like Prepton Landing. Yeah, I love like, you know, Year Without a Santa Claus. Santa Claus is coming to town. But one that did not make the list that either one of you mentioned, we're going back 20 years, so it's a classic. South Park, Mr. Hanky, the Christmas poop. Come on.
Yeah. It's, you know, I think South Park is its own category of things. So yeah, I love it, but yeah, it's its own category.
Well, don't forget about the Spirit of Christmas, but that started it all.
Right. That's,
you know.
We don't have South Park without the Spirit of Christmas. Thank you. Again, Joe being on this episode is a Christmas miracle itself.
That's right.
But no, I do. I love, you know, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, but the Peanuts, I still like the Peanuts. I love the Christmas tree, the Charlie, and you can't. There's a Christmas tree, you know, farm like 5 houses down, and every time we go and look and you see like the Charlie Brown Christmas tree there. We always joke, it's like, that's our tree, Charlie Brown. But just the other day, you know, we're listening to Christmas songs and the Christmas music that, you know, da-da-da. And it's funny. I wish Biff was there. I wish Joe was there. I wish anybody close to our age group was there, because the wife and I just started doing the peanut dances, like, you know, it's like, so she was doing the shoulder shrugs, and Joe's doing it now. I was doing the hands out from the hips going out to the side, bouncing back, and our sons are looking at us like, okay, we know our parents are fucked, but it's got to critical mass where something has to be done. And we're like, you dumb bastards don't know what you're missing. But I also want to throw out an awful, as we talked about, thanks in large part to Joe coming over a couple weeks ago. I now know the Christmas special, It Happened One Christmas. And I'd like to thank you for bringing that awfulness into my world, Joe.
Well, you're welcome. Merry Christmas, you old building and loan you.
And then the other one, and Joseph and I talked about before, you know, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is fucking awful. That Christmas special is fucking horrible. Santa is a prick. Like,
you should be ashamed of yourself.
They treat Rudolph's nose like a birth defect. And how sensitive are they? Exactly that. Santa storms into Dasher's house and tell him he should be ashamed because his child has a birth defect. And I saw a meme the other day. I think I forwarded it to both of you guys on the Twitter machine. It's like, it's Santa coming to ask Rudolph to guide us late at night. He goes, yeah, I got a red nose and a fucking long memory, old man. Fuck you. So go watch Purple Landing.
It's a story about bullying.
It's okay. Now Christmas specials. Joe, just give me the top three, Joe. Just give me the top three. I know you're gonna have the right answer here.
Top three Christmas specials?
Movies. Top three Christmas movies.
Movies? Listen, dude. Man, you're fucking me all up because I was gonna go specials and I was gonna
go top three
Star Wars holiday special.
Right there, boom. That's one. Yep.
I don't know, man. Christmas movies. Do you want to go movies now?
We're going into movies. We're going into movies.
All right. Oh God, it's got to be Scrooged.
That's one. Yep.
Yeah. Christmas Vacation for my generation. I'm sorry. Did
we watch that when you came over? Okay, we watched it. Yeah, it was good. Yes. But it's not in the top three.
I don't know. Maybe. Hey, fair enough.
The correct answer. Well, Biff, what are the maybe Biff has it. Biff, what are the top
I
three?
know the number one answer. I have the Family Feud background on my Zoom call for a reason. I know the number one answer to the best Christmas movie.
I hate to say this, but my favorite Christmas movie is Die Hard.
Yes, I've come around. You know what? I just saw Die Hard for the first time last year. 20.
Wow.
20.
Wow.
I was not like an action film person growing up.
It took you till now to actually see the Yippee-ki-yay
I saw it in clips and then right. And I heard the debate about it being a Christmas movie versus not a Christmas movie. But I got to say, it is a great fucking movie. It is. I love it. And you know what? It is a Christmas movie.
And the late great Alan Rickman. Come on.
Oh yeah.
And so Batman Returns with Michael Keaton.
Yep.
But Biff, what are the three best Christmas movies?
I don't know. Okay. So I think to me it starts with like I said, Die Hard is the one that it is my favorite Christmas themed movie, kind of in line with Gremlins. So Gremlins and Die Hard to me are like equal level, and then everything else is third place. So so that's kind of where I'm at.
So the correct answer, answer is Elf.
Oh yes.
I mean it's good, but I mean you know what? Yeah, sure.
Scrooged. And then Joe, the number one.
Survey says It's a Wonderful Life.
Completely. Now, if there's a fourth place finish, this can be debated, but you're wrong. Nightmare Before Christmas. I submit as a Christmas movie as much as Die Hard or Gremlins. It's a Nightmare Before Christmas.
It absolutely is.
Christmas in the title. And as you guys have known, and I will post this on the Twitterverse, our house, I always tell people, it's like, my wife lives for Halloween and I live for Christmas. So year round, our house kind of has that Addams Family Nightmare Before Christmas motif to it. And now our front lawn, because we have a gigantic inflatable of Oogie with lock, stock, and barrel. We have Jack Skellington riding a Christmas train with Zero. We have a 12-foot skeleton decorating the Christmas tree. And we also have a Christmas unicorn. It's just a unicorn, inflatable that changes colors, that they put a little bell on. And then, of course, the Christmas Millennium Falcon. We are that house. I am proud that we are that house. So, but the favorite thing is, I've gone outside a few times, or I'm outside, I'm getting stuff out of the car, and we have this kind of turnaround spot in the driveway. And people, sometimes pull over thinking it's like an extension to the road. But about a half a dozen times in the last couple of weeks, who's here? Oh, it's just somebody pulling over to take a picture in front of our 12-foot skeleton. And we did. The skeleton we got for Halloween, somebody actually said, it's like, wait a minute, you spent that much money on a yard decoration you only have up for a month? I'm like, hold my eggnog.
So you know what the sad reality of that is that I'm not going to argue with you about who's a bigger fan of Nightmare Before Christmas is, but I actually went to see Nightmare Before Christmas during the special engagement at the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood. During which time I somewhere buried in all of my crap is probably like essentially the event exclusive like little badge crap like that from that showing. So if I ever do find it, I'll be sure to send it over to you.
Hey, Joe, do you know the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood?
Yeah, I mean that's where the Jimmy Kimmel Live show was originally filmed or whatever.
It's almost 100-year-old theater. It's owned by Disney. It has this great balcony, but they put on a pre-show, like a live pre-show, all the time, and it's owned by Disney. And look, for all the evils of Disney.
Wait, Disney owns something?
Right. Weird, right?
A couple things.
Okay, so I'm going to give honorable mention to like the worst. I don't know if it's the worst Christmas special. I think, Joe, you just handled the worst Christmas special this year. I'm going out on a limb. I might be on an island. Christmas Story is so fucking overrated. It's fine. I love the leg lamp. Look, there's elements of that I love. I also heard, I was talking to a friend, a producer friend who, was telling me a story that maybe it's well known, maybe it's not. The kid whose tongue gets stuck on the pole, that really happened. And they didn't tell the kid it was going to happen. And the kid, I guess, was a complete prick. And so the director's like, yeah, I mean, it could never happen today. Like they wouldn't allow this to happen on a set. But kid,
what's right. What's funny about Christmas Story? Yeah, so Christmas Story became more and more popular when TNT started doing the 24-hour marathons. I think at least in my generation, I mean, it came out in what 80.
I'll say this though. I don't know that it's the worst. I definitely think it's overrated. But anyway, so go ahead, Joe. You were making a point about it being this ancient thing.
Oh yeah, artifact. This ancient artifact. I don't know. I didn't watch it as a kid a lot, but you hear about the scenes and the thing. But now it's become like this like enterprise, like they turned it into a musical that's actually in Boston this year. Wow. I think it's like in Boston like every year. I don't know how the touring company does it, or if they just do it in like multiple cities around Christmas time, like the Rockettes, like they would just go around. But like Peter Billingsley, I guess, kind of turned it, who stars as Ralphie. He like became like more integral with turning it into like a franchise, and now it's like it's still making money today. You bought the leg lamp, you're getting all the swag from the movie.
I did.
So,
yep.
It's
imported. It's from Fragile.
Right. Ooh, Fragile. But yeah, I mean, there are some problematic scenes, but there are some very good, relatable, like just like I guess real life type situations, like the licking of the flagpole, like getting your mouth washed out with soap, the BB gun, you'll shoot your eye out, that the creepy Santa atmosphere at the mall.
And I'll say as an Asian man, like the fact that they're put off by a head being attached to a bird, like as if like meat comes from like some magical grocery tray pack thing and not an actual animal, right? It's like
right.
Of course, there's a head associated with it, right? So I thought that was a very American thing, where a lot of Americans are put off by heads being attached to fish when they're served. So I thought that was a very American thing.
Oh, I remember the first time I have dinner at our friend Ruger's house after he became he was engaged, to a Filipino woman. And it was the first time I had seen fish served fully intact. And I was like, not ready for that. Like I hadn't eaten fish in over 20 years at that point, but I was.
So you're saying that unlike the Japanese, there wasn't a discussion as to who gets the head.
That's a different story. Oh, no. All right. So now moving on to the next trope. Songs. Biff, what are the best Christmas songs? Give us some of your favorite Christmas songs.
I hate to say this, but my favorite Christmas song is not a Christmas song, and I'm gonna have to say my favorite holiday song is the Hanukkah song, and it kind of pains me to say this because Adam Sandler is kind of like in many ways there's a little bit of that. I have a love-hate relationship in regards to Adam Sandler products, but I can't not like the Hanukkah song and the variants that he's had on it. He kind of nailed it to me. So I'm gonna go with the Hanukkah song as the my favorite Christmas, but not really Christmas holiday song.
Yeah, yet another shot fired in the war on Christmas, Joe.
I don't mind. I actually, Adam Sandler when I was growing up was like a comedy god, and I was in high school when his first album came out, when the Hanukkah song came out. So I was.
So that's a kind of a fascinating thing, right? Because I associate Adam Sandler as a guy who was kind of this recurring character on MTV's Remote Control.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Ken Ober.
Right. Which by the way, if I wasn't watching Game Center CX on the internet, I'd be watching old episodes of Remote Control on YouTube.
I mean, back then I was
as you should
complete MTV junkie. So
great show. I wish rest in peace, Ken Ober. And I think because he died, that's the reason why they didn't bring back Remote Control. That and MTV doesn't show music videos. But anyway,
and wasn't Colin Quinn the sidekick?
Yes,
Colin Quinn was the sidekick, and not only that, what's his face? Dennis, what's his face?
Dennis Leary.
Dennis Leary was also a recurring character on that, and
Carrie Werner was one of the,
yep.
Yeah. Good times.
Well, give me a couple. Ain't we lucky we got them? Give me a couple other songs, Biff.
As far as Christmas song goes,
yeah,
that's it. Come on, the other ones like I will say that the grandma got run over by a reindeer. Who the heck came up with that song? That is a garbage song and it's dark as fuck.
Well, it came out in the 80s. Right, like it was early 80s.
Whatever.
It was like a novelty song. It was very Dr. Demento-esque. It was perfect for it's kind of like that hillbilly Weird Al vibe.
Right. Now, and as far as actual performance goes, Mariah Carey just completely nails it. Right. Yes. All I Want for Christmas Is You. I mean, say what you will about Mariah Carey songs, that lady can freaking sing. I mean, she's so. As far as execution goes, that one, is up there. And once again, I also hate to admit it. Don Henley's "Please Come Home for Christmas." I don't know if it's Don Henley or if it's the Eagles. I hate to admit that I like that song, but that was a pretty well executed song. And then the other garbage song, I hate to say this because he is like, in my mind, the greatest Beatle. Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time. What a garbage song. Oh my God. God, Paul McCartney. You're a musical genius.
Well, when we were writing that song, I was going to write that with the Beatles, but then I thought, well, maybe I'll save this for when I do my own thing. Right. And, it's a way to get, more revenue. You need a Christmas song. Everything's jingle this and ringle that, so I thought, make it more of a boopity boppity kind of thing,
Keep going.
Oh my God.
There are a few songs that get under my wife's skin more than that. I think Welcome to the Jungle and having, simply having
Welcome to a Jungle is a great song. I'm not a huge GNR fan, that's a great song.
Well, the irony is she loves all of those bands from that era, from the Sunset Strip, except them. But no,
the sad irony is I'm not a GNR fan. Like GNR was big in the Sunset Strip when I was hanging around at the Sunset Strip, and I said, I don't really like these guys. So I had ample opportunity to see them at the Cat Club and all these little clubs. Never went to see them because I thought they sucked.
No, but getting on to staying positive for just a moment. Here are the best songs in case you don't know it, take out a pen, get out some paper, and I'll drop some knowledge on you. Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC. It's just a great song.
Agreed.
Last Christmas is a fun song. It's a great song. It is. I gave me my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year. You know what we have in common with nothing.
Nothing.
Santa Claus is Coming to Town by The Boss is fun. I'm sorry. I like it. I like when he starts laughing. I like the banter. It's so campy. We've heard it a billion times. It is still fun. Like already talked, the Peanuts Christmas music is just epic. Okay, call me a sellout, but I'm 13, I'm 14. When do they know it's Christmas?
That is a great song. That is really that was a well-made song.
And I love everything about it. I love that. I love that Phil Collins is the drummer. I love that John Taylor is the bass player. I love, all those singers,
I'll say this on that song. I think that Paul Young is totally underrated in that song. Oh my God. Paul Young's part. And I'm not a huge Paul Young fan, but my God, that dude can actually sing.
I just do. I love that song.
What about War Is Over?
That's on the list. That's on the list. I mean, look, the Lennon-McCartney debate will go on forever. That round clearly went to John and Yoko.
Right.
Clearly to John.
How about do you have Stevie Wonder's Someday in Christmas?
Oh, it's so great. I mean, that is a class. I love Blue Christmas. I love Elvis's "Oh, have a blue Christmas without you."
You probably have Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, somewhere in there.
If I would have written that song, it would be more like I have a bloopity Christmas, kind of make it a little bit more uppity zippity doo.
Anyway. It's so great to have Sir Paul McCartney with us. It
is just true.
I know what your number one song is going to be.
Because I'm a racist, White Christmas, obviously.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, if I didn't like it, I do love I'll Be Home for Christmas, and I almost don't care who sings it, whether it's a Bing Crosby version, whether it's a Pat Boone version, whether it's a new Michael Bublé version. I do love I'll Be Home for Christmas. But what's the number one?
I know what your number one's going to be, but it's not. It's the U2 version of Christmas, Baby Please Come Home.
And every time I hear that, like, if you ask the Alexa to play it, or you like the Christmas station, here it's 106.7, which, by the way, it's been all Christmas songs all the time at the house for the last month. And it's great. Or the last couple of weeks anyways. And what's fun about the Alexa.
Wait, 106.7 is a station in your area?
Magic. Yeah. 106.7.
Magic 106.7.
Wow. So the same number that is K-Rock is like, wow.
Yep. And but it's great. But Alexa, you could say play funny Christmas songs, and you get these blinking lights, these blinking Christmas light, or the 12 Pains of Christmas. The 12 Pains of Christmas.
Oh my God.
It's a fun song. Shut up, you.
You think you're so smart? You ring up the lights.
She's a witch.
I don't even know half these people.
She's a witch. I hate her. No, we love that. But you're right. Baby, it's Christmas, please. But every time I hear the first couple notes, I'm like, it's, and look, the original,
Darlene Love.
Produced by who's our lawyer friend, Taylor's friend there,
Phil Spector.
Phil Spector, thank you. Phil Spector. Hey, look, guy shot one woman but put out a lot of great fucking music. We'll call it a draw.
Oh yeah, I guess imprisoning, Ronnie Spector is a wash, I guess, right? Yeah.
But seriously, you're right, Joe. That's it. It's like every time I hear Bono's voice, it's like. But
the Darlene Love version. Now, okay, which movie do you associate that song with when you hear it? When you hear that bang, that sort of wall of sound beginning, and then you hear the snow's coming down, and like I think it's either going to be Gremlins, or because that's the beginning song of Gremlins, or Goodfellas when they did the Lufthansa heist.
Oh my God, I completely forgot about that in Goodfellas.
Take it back. I don't care where you got it from. Take it back. What are you, stupid? No, it's on my mother's name.
I absolutely. The other one that whether you're listening, if you say Alexa play Christmas songs, whether you put on 106, you keep hearing different versions of Hallelujah, which, you know, for an atheist to be one of my favorite songs, Hallelujah.
That's a Christmas song?
It's on which every time it comes on, I'm like, this is a Christmas song, but you know, but isn't
it an ogre song?
According, you know,
I think it's an ogre song.
And it's funny because I was telling my wife, it's like, yeah, I mean, I keep hearing different versions, but I'm like, yeah, I love Leonard Cohen. And she's like, I don't know who that is. I'm like,
what?
Yeah, like, but I'm like, you know his songs, because I'm like, he has a few songs that you literally have heard covered 1,000 times, and she's like, I don't think I've ever heard this song. And so right away I called up Zack Snyder's like Justice League. It's like it opens with a version of Hallelujah. And she's like, oh yeah. I said, yeah. I remember when I was watching this with you, you're like, how do you know this song? I'm like, it's Leonard Cohen. How do you not know this song? You know, but I will say in her defense, Neil from the Young Ones classically said, and let's face it,
God, the Young Ones.
Everything that Neil said on the Young Ones.
MTV used to be great.
When he said, he goes, you know, his roommates aren't listening. He goes, no one listens to me. I might as well be a Leonard Cohen album. And I'm like, I think that might have been my introduction to Leonard Cohen. But yeah, I do. I and as much as I was just talking about, like, you know, the Bowie Bing Crosby thing, as much as their relationship wasn't simpatico, their Christmas song is great. I love it. I absolutely love it. But Christmas. So
like, you know, going back to Young Ones, like one of the dudes from the Young Ones, I can't remember his name, he did a movie with Phoebe Cates, who was in Goonies. Something
Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah, right. Drop Dead Fred, right?
We talked about that's funny you mentioned that. We were that came up in conversation a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he's great. I hadn't that one. Yeah, you were talking to the wife about that, Joe, when you were over. It's one of those movies where I hadn't seen it. It offended the wife's sensibilities that I haven't seen it. So we sat down and watched. I'm like, how haven't I seen it? Yeah, it was the guy who played Rick.
It's a great crappy movie. I don't know how to categorize that.
So Baby It's Christmas, you know, Baby Please Come Home by U2's version, you know, Do They Know It's Christmas, Last Christmas, Christmas in Hollis. Just listen to Christmas in Hollis on a loop. But at the same time, as much as Christmas music has brought us joy, even the 12 Pains of Christmas, all these things, Christmas has also brought us some of the worst songs ever. I implore one of you guys to tell me a more pandering song to the Italian American community than Dominic the Christmas Donkey.
Hee-haw, hee-haw.
Oh my God.
Is it the worst Christmas song or the worst song ever?
I mean, it's not going to be the worst song ever, but it is pretty bad, right?
It's like
I'll say this: it's really, really bad, but I still stand by my Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time only because it's more prolific.
Right. Well, I was driving with the little guy today, and he heard that song for the first time. And as I quickly go to change the station, he's like, "Wait, what the fuck's a Christmas donkey?" And, you know,
it's awful. Yeah.
And I told him, "Yeah, it's bad, it's awful, but at least it's not. Well, no, it is. It's worse than I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas. What the fuck? like, I mean, was there a contest in the 50s to have the stupidest song?
I know what song you want to you want a song that's gonna like really grind my gears for Christmas.
Yeah, let's bring it.
Fucking Santa Baby. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
You know whose version is really awful of that?
Madonna's.
Everybody's.
Well, Madonna. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, Santa Baby is just like
think of the boys. I haven't, it's like, shut up, whore.
Right. Santa Baby.
Fundamentally kind of even semi-sexualizing Santa is just gross, right?
I mean, granted, the Jackson 5, and I'm a fan of the Jackson 5. It's pretty touchy-feely, Mikey. I saw Mommy's Kids and Santa Claus. That's about as sexualized as I want Santa to get. That's about it. And even that.
Wait a minute. I just got it. Santa is being kissed by mommy because Santa is daddy. I
got it. Oh, yes. And there goes the fourth wall.
Yeah.
You monster. No, but honestly, we have so many great Christmas songs. There's funny Christmas songs. There's this, but Dominic the Christmas Donkey, I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas, and I'm gonna go with Biff. I'm gonna say like simply have, because it's so prolific.
Such a garbage song.
Because it's Sir Paul McCartney.
You know what it is? It's a garbage song, but it's like it's as if like a great musical genius like Prince wrote some garbage song. It's like when you have a musical genius writing a garbage song, it just makes it even worse.
Right, exactly. And that doesn't see the light of day if it's the third place finisher on American Idol season 7.
Right, absolutely.
Like the record executives would be like, "Oh, hey, I want you to take these tapes, drive them out to the desert, and burn them, and then bury the ashes."
What's your stance on Baby It's Cold Outside? Because you know what? I kind of like Baby It's Cold Outside.
That's a tough one, right? Because there's that whole, kind of not
good
for the woke community and stuff like that. But I don't hate that song.
I think of it as a song between two consensual adults who are just having a flirty kind of moment.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that.
Yeah,
it's a well culture, man.
Although I'm on Esquire's 20 worst Christmas songs. Do They Know It's Christmas is on number 6.
That is wrong. That is 100% wrong.
Well, although you know what?
Go ahead.
I'm going to take out a subscription to Esquire so I can then cancel it.
I saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus is number 3.
That's right. Yeah.
But you know what? We're all in agreement. We can all agree that Paul McCartney and Wings' Wonderful Christmas Time is the number 1 worst Christmas song of all time. Oh my God. Although I didn't realize that Iggy Pop did a version of White Christmas, and that made this list.
I had no idea either.
Oh yeah. No, but well, it's Iggy Pop singing, it's like exactly what you think. If you never heard it, think about it for a second. You're listening to it in your head right now.
Like Paul McCartney, I think Iggy Pop can get a pass on it.
Now, Biff has suggested, and I'll this is Biff's real forte. Biff, best Christmas foods.
Well, as a Japanese, I think I'm obligated to say Kentucky Fried Chicken, but I will say this: not turkey is going to be number 1. But I'm a huge fan of the rib roast for Christmas because it's the most delicious. And I'm not talking to you, Jacques, because I know you're gonna go straight for the fucking tofurkey, right?
I cannot wait. I'm counting.
Yeah. But I will say that, you know what? Go with a freaking traditional rib roast because there is no such thing as a traditional Christmas meal. Like if you're cooking turkey on Christmas, I'm sorry, but you know what? Jesus never saw a turkey.
I'm sorry, but nothing looks more succulent than a Tom and Jerry Christmas ham.
Yeah, you remember ham with the big bone in the middle?
I think 100% ham is fine, but I'm saying anything but the freaking turkey because number 1, my hot food take, turkey is a garbage meat.
And it is. You know what, Biff? I actually heard somebody doing a good breakdown of this. Turkey is so bad, you have to drown it in gravy. Like the only way, right? The only way it's bearable.
But I mean, and so maybe for this country, it's a big deal because it is a very American meat. But I'm sorry, it sucks.
It does.
So I would say anything but the turkey is number 1. And then number 2, I prefer the standing rib roast, but I also like the ham. So I think those are my favorite Christmas stuff, and everything else is like, whatever.
What about Joe? And I mean this in all sincerity. Is there any special Portuguese like Christmas like delicatessens or dining delicious treats that you remember or like?
There might be some Portuguese dishes that I just don't like. Portuguese cuisine is very rich. It's very like fish. It's fish heavy, but also like very, like linguiça sausage kind of, oil based food heavy. So, but I can't think of like a traditional Portuguese Christmas dish. But I mean, I just I kind of like what's my go-to? But no, I don't. There's no real Portuguese cuisine that speaks Christmas. I mean. I don't know. It's I'm not a big like Christmas dinner food person. I like the sweets of Christmas, you know. I like the chocolate, like the Lindt chocolate. God damn. When I see the Lindt chocolate bags, those I see those every year. I go, God damn it, it's Christmas.
And actually, this time of the year, you go to Trader Joe's and they have those Christmas chocolate boxes that are like, it's those ridiculous boxes that are like 2 feet long. Because I don't know why they can't just put it into a traditional box that's like, you know, maybe stacked 2 layers. They have to put it in these 2-foot long boxes that is like, if you want to wrap it, it's like impossible. But going back to your Portuguese roots, so I spent some time in Hawaii where there is a significant Portuguese influence there. And one of my favorite things about Christmas was that my neighbor had this Portuguese sausage stuffing, which is absolutely fantastic. So linguiça stuffing is amazing.
Yeah, we know how to make a good linguiça. We can turn that in. We can probably make a linguiça, you know, slushy if we put our minds to it.
So that's the funny thing, right? So linguiça, well, in Hawaii they just call it Portuguese sausage, but it's so ingrained in Hawaiian culture that if you go to McDonald's, Portuguese sausage is a sausage option for breakfast.
Ooh, linguiça. I like to see that at Dunkin' Donuts.
Well, what it is, you know, they have the sausage patties that is essentially flavored like linguiça.
Yeah.
But there's a whole host of Hawaiian linguiça brands, which is kind of wacky. But
I hope that Burger King comes up with the impossible linguiça so Jacques can have a good taste.
Oh my God, it is so good.
Yeah.
You know, it really is the spice combinations that make it great.
Yeah. So, yeah. I haven't had linguiça in a long time.
Really? I'm so sorry.
So
it's all right.
So basically my favorite foods, and Biff already nailed it, it's Thanksgiving dinner. It's the same thing. It's like cranberry, it's all that. I love turkey. Here's some of the things that I hate, and I know you guys want eggnog. It's gross. I'm sorry.
I you know what? I was a gross person growing up. I liked eggnog.
I like eggnog.
I do walk by cartons of eggnog now and go, ugh.
Yeah.
But if it were served at a party that I was invited to, and it was an option, I might have a small glass just for old time's sake. Yeah. I think I would overdo it on the eggnog. I mean, I didn't, you know, I like that sort of rich, creamy kind of thick, viscous kind of. I don't know.
So do you spike your eggnog?
No, I'm a square man.
Okay, so I do like eggnog a lot, but I don't buy it because I'm the only one that drinks it. So I'll have to drink the entire carton, and it's just too rich.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite eggnog spiking is the eggnog with Kahlua. Is fantastic.
Ooh, yeah, that sounds good.
Another thing that puts me on the outs with some people, I talk about Christmas being my favorite time of year. Candy canes suck.
Candy canes do suck. That's garbage.
Yeah. I don't know.
Candy cane is the caramel
corn or the candy corn.
Christmas.
Are there any good hard candies? Like, is there any hard candies that your grandmother used to like that you would eat today?
Butterscotch.
The Werther's. I think Werther's.
Werther's Originals, butterscotches. Yeah.
I think that's the only one.
The spirit, the peppermint ones, they can
peppermint can just,
they can suck a cane.
Yeah, they could just
gingerbread. Another one, gingerbread. No. The only good thing about gingerbread is like the whipped cream topping. That's it.
Gingerbread on its own is kind of garbage. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
gingerbread is so bad.
How bad is it?
It's used as building materials during Christmas time. Like lumber. It's literal like lumber for a gingerbread house.
I'll say that gingerbread, if it's that gingerbread cookie, if it's not made too brittle, the kind of the semi-soft gingerbread with the appropriate cream, icing on it, I think is okay. But I mean, that's the problem, right? You have to kind of hit that nail. For me, you have to nail that sweet spot for it to be okay. So yeah, just get the chocolate chip cookies because those
gingerbread is the turkey of the cookie.
That is actually a freaking 100% accurate analysis.
Was there ever really a time when fruitcakes were Oh, they're bringing fruitcake to the party. Like, who ever thought that was a good idea?
I think that was like that had to have been like during World War II when they had literally nothing else to make a cake with because of rationing. Like they're like, what do we have or that we can serve? And it's
it was similarly once again. It's kind of forcing it, but so there's the Italian kind of fruitcake-ish thing, the panettone. I've made French toast with panettone, and it's actually pretty good. But if you have to go through all that work to make that thing taste good, you know that it's just one of those things that it sucks, and you have to put in work to make it taste good.
Guys, this was a lot of fun. So just to recap, the best Christmas specials are Prepton Landing and the best movies: Wonderful Life, Scrooge, Elf, Nightmare Before Christmas, and best Christmas song, Christmas in Holland. And we all
talk about the Pixies now.
Dude, how much time do you got? Like literally, if the Pixies, you're lucky the Pixies never put out a Christmas album, because we would do a deep dive into Black Francis's take of I don't know.
Did I mention that one time I was getting my luggage in LAX, and then I was standing next to the breeders?
That's pretty awesome.
I was standing next to the Deal sisters. I didn't want to harass them because they look tired and they're getting luggage, and I'm not gonna fucking harass them, but I was like standing next to the Beatles sisters, which was kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
The Pixies did do a song called The Holiday Song, which I'm sure you're well aware of.
Yeah. It's was that on Trump Lamont, or was that on Come On Pilgrim?
Come On Pilgrim.
See, I knew. I had to think about it. Okay. I don't know what song we're going to go out on, but I would really like to go out on Joe singing Blue Christmas, but as Paul McCartney doing an imitation of Elvis.
Oh man. All right, let me see if I can pull up the lyrics. Oh yeah. Well, so thanks for watching our Get Back little wobbly doubly special. It was real mod, man. It was real groovy making that special with John and Ringo and George and the other George and the other John and the other I'm sure there's another Paul in there somewhere. I don't know. But here's a little song I like to sing around the house around Christmas time that isn't my own. It's I'll Have a Blue Christmas by the King, baby. Hey, I'm Elvis. I'm the King. Look at me. I'm an American icon. I died on the toilet when I was 43 or whatever. Okay. Here we go. I'll have a blue Christmas. Baby, I can't hear you when you do the backup. So, this has got to be a solo thing. Do you want me to do this fucking bit? Do you not want me to do the fucking bit? I'll have a blue Christmas without you. I'll be so blue. Not kind of like the normal blue. Not sad blue. I mean, more of a navy blue Christmas. Just thinking about you. Decorations of red and on a green Christmas tree. It's funny because if you cut down a Christmas tree, it goes from green down to brown. If you leave it, without water for too long, it gets real sad, man. So you got to put a lot of gibblies on it, and it won't be the same if you're not here with me. And when those blue snowflakes start falling. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. I wanted to bail on this immediately.
No.
Oh my God.
It was classic.
That stunk.
Thank goodness that Jacques prepared you.
I will tell you
4 seconds of preparation.
One of the awesome, we'll cut this out, but one of the awesome things about the Beatle things, it's like they're crediting people in the background. When Joe was like, "Oh, there's another Paul," I'm thinking, it's like, wait. Is that the same Alan Parsons? And I look it up. He's like, Alan Parsons is an 18-year-old like engineer assistant on the last 2 Beatle albums. And it's like, okay, so I'm 52 and I've gone nowhere in my life. He at 18 has accomplished more than I will in my entire life.
If you look at liner notes on random things, you'll see some crazy stuff. Like one of my favorites is that, do you guys know who Thin Lizzy is?
Oh, hell yeah.
They're the guys that the boys are back in town.
Be a jailbreak.
Yeah, right. So they have like this within the hard rock world. they have this Live and Dangerous is like kind of one of those, one of the greatest live albums of the hard rock genre. And if you look at the liner notes on it, you'll see that Huey Lewis is playing harmonica on that album.
Yeah, man. He was like the Billy Preston for Thin Lizzy. Like, he would just pop in
on harmonica.
Yeah.
Right.
They're right.
So there's these random things in there. So if you look at, like liner, that's one of the things that people miss out on by not buying albums, is that people don't get liner notes, because liner notes are fantastic.
Right. Yeah. You would sit there and you'd you'd listen to the music, and then you'd read like every single like piece of text. You pour over the pictures in the album if they fold it out and stuff, and you read the lyrics and good stuff.
You'll find out that Toto is like one of the most important bands in the history of 80s music, because you look at the Randy Newman albums, you look at the Michael Jackson albums, and hey, look at that. It's Toto that's playing all the instruments. What the fuck?
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah, and by the way, since we're off on the rails here, I might as well just throw in a random R.I.P. Mike Nesmith of the Monkees.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm dead serious, and I was texting with Joe and a couple other friends. The first concert that I went to was at Old Sullivan Stadium, was a shithole of shitholes, and it was, I want to say it was their 20th reunion tour or 20th anniversary tour. Yeah, it was like 1986 or 1987. And Mike Nesmith, Mike Nesmith's another one of those guys where you look at like, he did some real shit, and after the Monkees, he did some real shit, and it's, he went on to produce some great movies like Repo Man. He, basically was a pioneer in the MTV, like, the forefront of music videos being a thing. He was great. He was great, and
I think he's like, isn't he like a child of the person who invented liquid paper?
Yes,
100%.
Right? Yeah, he had FU money like right around when the Monkees took off. So like he basically didn't need to do any of the reunions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think getting to the MTV thing, I think MTV they approached Mike Nesmith to kind of run MTV, or like when they were first starting like that, like, no, and then he was like, nah, I'm gonna like write music instead, or I'm just gonna not do that because that sounds like work and I don't need to.
Yeah, there are some, there's some monkey stuff that's like, there's all the known songs. Like I think Daydream Believer is a Neil Diamond song. I want to say
that, and I'm a Believer. Right? Yeah,
I'm a Believer, right? But there's some like Auntie Matilda is kind of, it's a wacky song that I think is a real monkey song. That is like, I just feel like it's kind of the under the radar. People should have a better appreciation of things like that, right? But as a guy who grew up in the 70s watching Monkees reruns, that's actually a very special band, in my heart. So
no, we did hear relentlessly. They were on reruns, and it was sad because I didn't know. I still don't know. Was it unexpected? Was he dealing with anything?
No, I think he just died of old age. He was 78. Yeah. He and Mickey Dolenz performed at the Hollywood Bowl like 3 weeks prior to his death. Yeah. And it was they deemed that as the final performance. Like so I don't know if there was inklings that like maybe, I guess his health was waning and stuff, but although I did read a nice little article that his manager, I guess he responded like after his death that he could sense, or he could tell that Mike Nesmith finally got how important the Monkees was in the zeitgeist, like towards the end of his life. He didn't really appreciate, I guess, or maybe didn't see like how impactful that, the band and the music was in American pop culture until like, later in his life. Yeah. One other little side note, he wrote that song, Different Drum.
Yes.
For that, what song? You and I. No,
travel to the beat
of a different drum. Yeah. He wrote that one. So that's a little, non-Monkey song. Mary Mary, he wrote that. That's a good song.
Yep.
Jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because I did see the Monkees another time with the other three. You know what I mean? It's because those guys had a tour. Those guys, this was their meal ticket.
Right.
Like you said, he had the, fuck you money. Yeah. Well, this was, gentlemen, this was great. Joe, always, it does my heart good to just, see that you haven't gone to the rickety stool and rope store. Like every day you answer the phone or return a text. I'm like, okay.
So every text is a wellness check.
That's right. The way I'm saying it. But I'm now going to go upstairs. But I will check in on you guys. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, you all.
Billing is low.
All right. Are we gonna say goodbye to the podcast? I forget. We didn't really end anything. There was no ending to that podcast.
Yeah. You know what?
Merry freaking Christmas!
You want to give us a don't forget show?
Don't forget Joe.